Life has a way of throwing curveballs, unexpected hardships, painful losses, and confusing detours that leave us questioning everything. We make plans, set goals, and dream of the future, only to find ourselves blindsided by circumstances beyond our control. During these moments, when nothing makes sense, we cry out to God, searching for answers. Yet, sometimes all we hear is silence. So, what do we do when life doesn't make sense? Why should we trust God when everything seems to be falling apart? God's ways are higher than ours. When Jesus prepared to wash Peter's feet, Peter was caught off guard. He resisted, saying, "No, Lord, you're not going to wash my feet." But Jesus replied in John 13:7, "You don't understand what I am doing now, but someday you will." This is exactly how life feels at times. We're in situations where God is working, but we don't see the full picture. We want immediate answers, but God doesn't operate on our timeline. He doesn't need our permission or full understanding before moving forward with His plan. Proverbs 3:5-6 reminds us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He will direct your paths." Notice that God calls us to trust, not to understand. In Isaiah 55:8-9, God declares, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." How much higher? Infinitely. Our perspective is limited. God sees the full picture. What doesn't make sense now may be perfectly clear in eternity. Faith requires obedience, not full understanding. Many of us hesitate to obey God unless He reveals the whole plan. We want guarantees, clarity, and control. But faith doesn't work that way. If Jesus stopped to pick you up while you were hitchhiking east and suddenly started driving west, would you trust Him? Even if you don't understand where you're going, you can trust who is leading you. A lack of understanding does not excuse a lack of obedience. Some people miss out on God's blessings because they analyze every move He makes instead of simply trusting and obeying. Think about it. When you pray and ask God for direction, but then hesitate to take the first step because it doesn't make sense, you short-circuit His plan. Instead of trying to force everything into your own understanding, surrender, trust, obey. One of the greatest struggles we face is the apparent unfairness of life. Why does God answer some prayers but not others? Why does one person receive healing while another suffers? If we measure God's goodness by how fair life seems, we'll end up bitter and confused. But God's goodness is not dependent on our circumstances. It is His nature. Psalm 105 declares, "The Lord is good, His mercy is everlasting, and His truth endures to all generations." This was the same lie Satan used against Eve in the Garden of Eden. He made her question God's goodness. The enemy whispers the same doubts into our minds today. If God were good, He wouldn't have let this happen. But God is good, even when life is hard. We see injustice and heartbreak, but God sees eternity. The day is coming when He will set everything right. Revelation 21:4 promises, He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain. Even Jesus' prayers weren't always answered the way he wanted. This truth might surprise you. Jesus himself did not always get the answer he wanted. In Luke 22:42, Jesus prayed in the Garden of Gethsemane, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." He prayed not once, not twice, but 3 times, and the Father said, "No." Being a Christian does not make us immune to suffering. If Jesus, the Son of God, endured unanswered prayers and pain, why should we expect to be exempt? The difference is that we do not suffer alone. God walks with us through every storm, choosing trust. Over bitterness when life doesn't make sense, we have a choice. Get angry, bitter, and frustrated. Trust God and keep moving forward. Many people let one betrayal, one hardship, or one disappointment derail their entire faith. But we are called to persevere. Life will be full of unanswered questions, but we must hold on to what we know to be true. God is still on the throne. When the unfair moments come, dig deep and declare, "God, this is painful. It doesn't make sense, but I know you're still in control. I know you have a purpose. I will trust you." Hold on to the rock. The storms of life will come. The unexpected will happen. But we are not like those who build their lives on sinking sand. We stand on the solid rock of Christ. If you're in a season where life doesn't make sense, keep fighting the good fight. Keep trusting. Keep obeying. And keep believing. Even when you don't understand, God is working behind the scenes. One day, we will be with Him forever. And in that moment, everything will finally make sense. Until then, we trust, we obey, and we never, ever give up.